What's up, neighbors? Welcome back to the Neighbors Pod. As always, I'm Haley and I'm here with Janina and Julia. We are here to spill the tea, give questionable advice, and make sure your virtual neighborhood stays just a little bit chaotic in the best way.
Today, we're diving into a topic that has been haunting our group chat for years. When did the internet, or social media, take a turn for the worse? Or is it straight up dead?
Now, full disclosure, since we're Gen Z, we can't fully speak on the golden days of Facebook or early MySpace. So if you're out there customizing your top 8 or poking people unironically, that wasn't our scene.
But what we can speak to is growing up as social media obsessed kids. We were on every app as soon as it dropped, from the golden age of Tumblr and Vine to Instagram and whatever the heck Twitter has become. So we've got some takes.
Some hot, some probably controversial. We'll share when social media started to lose its soul, well, at least the fun part, and we'll reminisce on the moments when we just thought, yeah, it's not the same anymore.
And of course, we want to hear from you, so slide into our DMs or hit up our Here's Our Advice segment so we can hear your thoughts. When did you feel like the internet went from iconic to exhausting?
Before social media went downhill, there was a time that I would call the glory days, kind of prime social media, and to me this was 2013 to 2014. So at this point, nearly everyone had a smartphone, which was interesting. So I found a statistic that said stats show smartphone penetration passes 50% in 2014. In the innovation adoption life cycle, innovators and early adopters were no longer like the cool group. Like, it wasn't cool. You weren't like a tech kid or a cool nerd to have a smartphone now. Kind of like the mass population had it.
Okay.
So hand in hand with that means a lot more people were getting onto these social media apps. So it became acceptable for normal, regular people to start having accounts on like every platform. And because it's now new that everyone had smartphones, it was also cool to have access to the internet 24/7. But when before, this was just an at-home thing.
Yes.
So you were living your life, taking all your photos, and then once you got home, you're posting about it and forming connections.
As the oldest of the trio, I will say I remember this shift happening explicitly, because I went from having a little sliding text phone with the QWERTY keyboard, no smartphone specifically, and I always had an iPod though, and I was always so pissed off that I could only use it when I was at home or somewhere that had free Wi-Fi. And when I got my first iPhone, I was going into high school. It was one of the best days of my life. It's quite literally changed my life. Arguably, I've not had any other phone since then. That's how iconic and committed I am to it. And I remember this explicitly happening because I just instantly, like, I was already a fangirl and had a One Direction account, but as soon as I got my iPhone, it took off.
Yeah.
I was always online.
I remember that in 4th grade taking pictures on my iPod Touch and be like, I can't wait to get home so I could post this on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because there was no, like, and if you ever opened your flip phone, I remember you could press the internet app, and I was like, oh my god, my parents are going to be charged $1 million for opening this.
That was the first thing that came to mind, because this was even before I had a sliding phone, when my mom had a flip phone and they had that internet option. I'm like, what is this?
Yes.
Or I had a friend and her dad had a BlackBerry, and that was like legendary. Just being able to click through the keypads and all the search options.
Crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So now, 2013, 2014, everyone has access to this. It's no longer as cool. Still pretty cool, but it's not as cool. And this is the year, in my opinion, people stopped using social media to socialize and more as a way to start branding themselves. Because instead of just saying, oh, I'm documenting my life, this is my day, this is that, now they have their phone with them all the time. They're taking pictures of their Starbucks, they're taking pictures of going on vacation, and everything is like immediate satisfaction, immediate, I want to post this because I wasn't able to before.
So then you saying that reminds me of Tumblr, because I think that had such a big influence on what we wanted to post.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because everything I could think to post, I was like, oh my gosh, this is Tumblr.
Absolutely.
Going off that aesthetic kind of thing.
Everything in my life was Tumblr. Tumblr this, Tumblr that, Tumblr lights, Tumblr bedding, Tumblr nails, Tumblr cups, Tumblr glitter.
Yeah.
Just Tumblr everything, and that carried over into Instagram, which is why everything is Instagrammable. Tumblr did it first. Tumblr walked so Instagram could sprint, because she's not even running anymore. She's just sprinting, baby. But anyways, I digress.
So, to set the scene for 2013, some major things that happened. Twitter went public, so they IPO'd at $1.8 billion.
Oh my god!
So, in 2013, they were the fourth largest IPO of the year.
And that was in 2013.
2013.
And it went for $2 billion?
1.8, yeah,
Oh.
nearly $2 billion.
Wow.
In 2013. So,
That's wild.
Tea.
that just shows everyone wanted to be on Twitter.
I think I made a Twitter in 2013.
You probably did. You probably did.
What?
Also, Vine was peaking, and 2013 was the year that Vine introduced hashtags.
Wow.
Wow.
I didn't realize Vine created the hashtag.
I didn't either. I thought Instagram did.
Same.
Instagram was just getting popular, Snapchat was brand new,
Yep.
Vine and Instagram were direct competitors, and Instagram had just introduced video support because Vine was doing so well with
So this
video
is a
content.
lot happening.
There was so much being introduced in 2013,
That's insane.
which is why I find that to be like kind of prime.
How old were we in 2013?
I was 12.
I was 15, 16.
So that's early middle school.
I
Yeah.
was high school.
Wow.
You were probably in 4th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a sophomore by then already.
Wow.
See, that's crazy being in high school
Yeah.
with that transition.
Because I remember 6th grade was the year everyone started getting iPhones.
Mm-hmm.
For me.
I was late to the iPhone game. A lot of people already had it by 8th grade graduation, and I got mine going into high school.
That was me too. My friends, because the 5C, the iPhone 5C,
Yeah.
I think that was a big point where people were switching from the keyboard sliding phone to the iPhone. And I was like, I need it. I was still rocking the iPod.
I remember, and the iPod not having the front camera.
Yes.
Getting that one was so big.
And I remember that specifically, the C line of phones were so pretty with all the color options
Yeah.
that we had.
Okay, so this just feeding into you saying this. Before I had the iPhone with the camera, I had iPod. I had the iPod with no camera at all.
Yeah.
But this is when people were joining Instagram. Haley, you were definitely on there. I don't know if I had you yet, but there was a few people that I had followed. And I remember going on my sister's iPad. Did I tell you guys this before?
I feel like I know the story.
And like taking my profile picture and emailing it to myself because I didn't have a camera to post a profile picture. And my sister saw the sent email. She's like, where did you send this? But like, that's me. I'm like, okay, I need to get a profile
need an
picture.
account.
I gotta get on Instagram.
Was that your sunglasses selfie with the
Yes.
bob?
Yes.
I got
I
it.
can see it. It's right here.
I'll find it.
But no, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, before everyone had the iPhones, and I feel like in the iPod Touch era, we weren't posting for social media, but we were posting all those. Remember, you could like green screen an explosion somewhere, or you're making the video stars, you're making music videos, but you weren't
Okay.
posting them anywhere.
True.
Okay, but I feel like that's a little bit later, maybe. You're talking like a dub smash type of video?
No. Literally, like, I remember when the new iPod Touch got revealed that you could reverse it. We were all just taking selfies with like the fun filters.
Okay.
We would have already also done our the bunny challenge.
Yeah, I feel like YouTube is its own universe in terms of this.
In terms of social media.
I feel like it's
Yeah.
so, I don't know. I feel like the things I'm saying about this I don't mean it about YouTube.
I know
don't-
what you mean.
I agree, and I say that because I think YouTube, as it continues to grow, will compete with television, actually.
Well,
Agreed.
okay.
I agree completely.
I think it will transcend social media and become entertainment.
If you have YouTube Premium, you could stream every sports game, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of on
It's on
the
track.
level of cable
But
at this
also,
point.
even like film festivals are accepting YouTube videos as media to be like considered for the
Wow.
shows,
That's awesome.
which is crazy to think about
Mm-hmm.
because you could be I guess what's the barrier to entry? Is that the phrase?
Yeah.
It's lowered now because everyone has access to YouTube for free. Everyone can post and you could be noticed because if your video is good, it's going to get the views, it's going to get the traction.
Yeah.
I thought about this earlier specifically because I don't watch Food Network anymore. I get all my cooking inspo from YouTube, but my mom got it all from Food Network.
That's so true.
It's on track to rival TV.
I completely agree.
Like, why would I watch? Love you, Rachel Ray, but why would I watch you if I can just watch a Joshua Weissman video at any time? So YouTube is excluded in all of our thoughts today.
Yeah.
Because we love her, we adore her. YouTube, we stan. This is definitely peak internet culture. I'll set the scene for myself. These are my prime high school years. Just got an iPhone. One Direction is absolutely peaking. Justin Bieber, absolutely peaking. If you think Taylor Swift is peaking now, go back 10 years ago. Peaked. Absolute peak cooked. I'm not even a Taylor Swift fan, and I could tell you every single word and lyric from that era.
True.
Like,
Absolute peak cooked. What is going on?
we're trendsetting, okay? I say this because One Direction, specifically Liam, rip Liam, but he would always talk about how One Direction really took off because it was this perfect storm of everyone being online all the time and social media and fandoms rising, which is why I think this is also peak social media because you're able to find, whether it was me for beauty videos, I was able to find my Jeffree Stars and my James Charles of the world, and I found my One Direction people. I wasn't into coffee back then, but I'm sure I would have found my coffee people. I found my lifestyle YouTuber girlies that I still follow. Like, this was peak connection. I don't think the ability to connect has been the same since these 10 years have evolved.
Okay, so now that's you saying that in the Decadeology Reddit thread, some people were saying that they felt the decline of social media happened when people started relying on it for social connections versus just sharing their like pictures or stuff like that.
I would be curious to see the ages of the people commenting on this, and I say that because during this era, I'm getting bullied for my interest in school. I cannot connect in person. I need to find, I don't want to say, like, find my friends online.
Like a community.
But yes,
Yeah.
I need a community.
Support.
I need to connect with people that like One Direction in the same
Yeah,
way.
also encouragement to keep going with the things that you're interested in.
Yeah, if you see other people
Yeah.
enjoying it.
And so I'm curious if the person that feels that way was maybe a bit older and already had their own network in real life of people with actual shared interests. Because now I have my little One Direction group.
That's fair.
But 10 years ago, I didn't have that. And I was even getting made fun for hanging out with you guys back then.
Yeah.
And look at, like, you're still my real friends that I have. So, like, if I'm getting made fun of for just who I'm hanging out with, I can't find any sort of connection in person. Are you kidding me? So
How
I
dare
had
they?
to go online.
Rude.
We're cool. No, it was stupid.
I just searched things that went viral in 2013. Number 1, the Harlem Shake.
Oh my god.
That was 2013.
Yes.
That was
I'll
2013.
die.
What does the fox say?
Oh,
Okay.
Wrecking ball.
Miley.
Twerk fails.
What does the fox say was in 2013?
Yep. I did a math project to that song.
Wow.
Our Cheer remix had that song featured in it.
Pop Star of the
Crazy.
Year was Lord. Word of the Year was Selfie. Attitude of the Year was Swag.
Oh my god.
Justin Bieber,
That
Swaggy.
And Food Trend of the Year was Froyo.
Like, you're telling me, like,
was
acai
a
bowls
good
were probably,
year.
like, you're telling me this
No.
isn't peak social media?
Froyo-
Anyone that disagrees?
Froyo was the original acai bowl. Social media side of the year was Vine.
Wow.
It beat every app that year.
She was that girl.
That's crazy.
I wonder if Vine was still active, if people would still like it as much as they did.
I wonder if it would have kept our attention spans. Oh, well, I guess it was shorter. So it doesn't even matter. Because people say our attention spans are bad now with TikTok, but Vine was even shorter.
Yeah.
Vine was shorter. It was like 30 seconds or less.
No, it was 6 seconds.
7.
7.
Thanks made it out. a little.
Wait,
No.
they might have switched it. They might have made it longer towards the end of it.
I don't remember.
That was its downfall.
I remember it started off at 7 seconds, but it definitely expanded out.
Wow.
So if I was peak high school in my fandom culture era at this time, you guys were middle school. So how were you using the internet? And were you on it in class? Because I was. And I will say, my school even gave us iPads our freshman year. So between my phone and my iPad, I was always online.
I remember up until like 6th and 7th grade when I had an iPhone already, I was not using my phone was in my locker. I was scared. But I remember in 8th grade on our laptops, I would start logging into my Twitter and DMing all my friends through that. Because I don't think we were allowed to have our phones. Like, we'd get in big trouble, and I was a scaredy cat. But definitely outside of the classroom, lived on my phone. And I made note of Ask FM because I feel like that was a really negative part, like, when social media started to go downhill. Because it was like, oh, I can just type on a screen, and I could bully all my friends, and no one's going to know it's me.
Yeah.
That was, like, a bad part. But that's closer to 2015, which is, we'll get into it. That's when I think things started to went downhill.
You were using Ask FM in 2015?
It was my 8th grade graduation year. That was when it was at its peak.
I would exactly. That's true because I was a year younger than you, and I still was using it then. I think
We phased out of it then, thank God, because I didn't hear of Ask FM, like, honestly, starting 8th grade and beyond.
Wow.
Like, we went through that phase early. Maybe I just got off it too because, again, people were being mean, and I was definitely one of the kids that people were being mean to, and I was like, why would I?
They were so mean
check
on
this?
there.
it was crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I wasn't posting to be like an influencer in 2014.
It was just silly things.
It was just silly things like the fears. Then you would do like the like Funky Monkey. What was that editing? Photo Monkey?
Pick Monkey.
Okay.
Pick
Yeah.
Monkey. You put text on your screen. But I feel like it wasn't bad yet at that point.
No.
It was all just Tumblr photos. Like, we would take Tumblr photos here at my house and want to
A
post
picture of
them.
an Arizona can,
Yeah.
nail polish bottle.
Yeah.
When did it transition into posting? Like, I don't even remember. Maybe when, okay.
Into posting what?
So maybe I started posting people on my account when there were like outings. A madcap. For our listeners, a madcap is a school dance that happened
Yeah.
monthly, right?
God, was it monthly? Was that frequent?
Maybe
Yeah.
not. Maybe not as.
It was.
No way.
It was.
No way.
And then on top of that, each grade had their special thing.
Jesus
Once a year.
Christ.
They kept us social.
I will say, I think I started getting interested in posting my outfits because I was watching Amanda Steele on YouTube,
Okay.
and she would always post her outfits. So I was like, oh, I want to do this too.
Okay. Yes.
But it still wasn't in the mind frame of like, I'm going to tag this brand and they're going to sponsor me, because that didn't exist yet.
No. Yeah.
So I feel like it was still just a creative thing rather than a evil social media thing.
But then it's interesting because in the 90s, even the early 2000s, I guess, magazines and the toxic model culture and stuff like that, I'm surprised it wasn't already boom right into Instagram with. Because
That's true.
It did become an issue. You guys know what I'm trying to say?
I feel like it's because when Instagram was introduced, we were just connecting with people that we knew.
Yeah.
Besides from
Yes.
that like first week that you would follow anyone just to get followers.
True. Follow for follow.
Yeah.
And then when companies started to join,
Yes.
That's what I was just going to say. It feels like then the downfall is when brands and brand deals started and brand trips. Because that's when it really blew up and everything had to become picture perfect, Instagrammable moments instead of just sharing your life / just connecting with people.
Wow. Imagine if Instagram didn't allow brands. If it was just a people-to-people app. It'd be so different.
It'd be very different.
It'd be so different.
No products being shoved on your... It'd be Pinterest.
No, Pinterest is terrible now. Pinterest is all ads. And
I know.
Pinterest, it's strangers. I'm not posting for my friends on Pinterest.
True.
Pinterest kills me with the shop ads.
Yeah.
You can't search anything without it be sending you to a random website.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like in the beginning, people weren't having that model effect because we were just following our
Yeah.
neighbors and our cousins and our friends.
True.
And it was just literally a photo album.
So how to have started to downfall when people were able to make livelihood off this.
Yeah.
Because think about how many beauty influencers, or just influencers in general, lie to sell you a product so they can keep their job. Because at the end of the day, this is a job that we gave them. And if we don't turn around and buy something that they're mentioning, then they're out of a job because they can't influence you.
Yeah.
So then they have to lie to you to get you to buy it, but then you break your trust with them because they obviously just lied to you. So it's...
Yeah. A note I pulled from the Decadology subreddit said, someone said it died when their feed stopped showing their friends' stuff and instead started pushing sponsored and influencer content.
Mm-hmm.
So they agree. It's literally right on with what you said.
Yeah.
But I'm like hesitant because I like my influencer girls that I follow a lot. Like, listen to our parasocial relationships episode. I am on the opposite end of several parasocial relationships. Okay. And not that they post as much branded content anymore, and I'm happy for them for that, but I do like their life posts still. So it's, I don't know, is it like a chicken or the egg kind of situation?
I guess so. I think it's maybe the point is that people join these apps with the only intention of sharing photos with friends and family.
And now you're seeing...
they're kind of being pushed out because all the new updates are geared towards a different target market.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I see where you're going with this now. So on top of brand deals and collabs and sponsorships and whatnot being a contributing factor to the death of social media, my first note that I have written down too is clickbaits / needing to just get views.
Ooh.
I think that was a terrible chapter of the internet. I'm so glad that we've moved past that era. For the most part, you still see clickbait videos every now and again, but that era pissed me the fuck off.
Yeah, I will agree. So my take was that 2016 was the last year that social media was cool. 2017 is when it went downhill because clout chasing became a thing.
Gosh.
And that lines up because I remember the Logan Paul Japanese suicide forest.
Oh my god, yes.
Okay, first of all, I guess it's considered a controversy, but that should have just ended his career, in my opinion, because that's terrible.
I don't believe in cancel culture.
I was just gonna say, like, that's a whole other thing we get to, cancel culture.
Yeah, that should be its own episode.
He seems to have grown and changed as a person, I'll give that to him. Granted, from what we see, I think he's giving that off.
Okay.
Should that video have ever been thought of, executed, filmed, edited, posted? No. I don't think there's any excuse or behavior for that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that cancel worthy? Probably not. But anyways,
How
I
old?
digress.
Do we even know how old he was at that point? I don't remember.
Probably 20-something.
Young 20. No, mid-20s.
And I feel like that era of social media, especially in YouTube, it was like, how am I going to be the trending video?
Yeah.
And how can I be crazier?
Yeah.
How can I one-up myself and one-up everyone
Because
else?
David Dobrik's vlogs were popping off then. Jake Paul, Logan Paul, whoever. Who else was big? Mr. Beast wasn't even there yet.
Shane Dawson was still
Shane
big.
Dawson conspiracies, Jeffree Star.
Yep.
Like, it was cutthroat on YouTube.
2016 or 2017 was still peak beauty community too.
Yeah.
So you have Jeffree Star, James Charles, Laura Lee, Manny MUA,
And Emma
Gabby.
Chamberlain's on the rise.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people.
It was a lot of big names. The Dolan twins.
Yep.
Yep. The Madcon boys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so crazy to think about.
True.
Because it's the YouTube people, the Vine people, and then the merge of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when Vine collapsed.
I feel like when MadCon was a thing and Playlist Live, social media was still okay.
Yes. Agree. But when that era died, shortly after is when the clickbaitiness started to enter the chat, and that was definitely a downfall.
And I also feel like after the MadCon boys kind of blew up, I don't want to say fangirls for everyone, but I'm going to say my thought, then I don't want you to forget yours. I think after the MadCon boys fell off and the girls felt so connected to them, we blurred the line on privacy for influencers.
Yes.
And that's when it kind of became toxic, because people, there was no barrier.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I totally agree with that. Because the fact that they were just regular people and you were able to meet them and see them
Then they
rather
became
than
real
a
people.
full-on celebrity like Justin Bieber. It's harder to have that connection
Exactly.
with them.
That was
So-
my next point. Did social media start to die when influencers got celebrity status?
I could see that.
Because now we're just turning average people like us into celebrities. And I'm not going to say that's a bad thing.
Yeah, and like
'Cause you
granted,
would-
celebrities were just random people at one point too.
Yes.
I think it's not a problem that regular people could gain celebrity status by being influencers. I think it's the fact that people saw that and be like, oh, I want to do this now too.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I also think there's a huge difference between actual celebrities and influencers, because a celebrity, everyone recognizes the name. Influencers, I'm going to go out on a limb and say more than half of the people that are over 40 cannot recognize that name
Yeah.
or know who you're talking about.
But also, a lot of us don't know the A-list celebrities from the 40s that our parents would be like, obviously that's, or whoever.
No, but I think everyone will know. Like if you say Justin Bieber, everyone knows him. Or if you say Kim Kardashian,
Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
There's some people I don't know who that is, though. We're just so...
That's
we
what I'm
know
saying.
it.
Like the average person over X age.
I think our generation just will have these kind of celebrities. Like, I feel like influencers are our celebrities to what celebrities were to our parents. Whatever. You know what I'm trying to say?
Maybe I view influencers as more niche
Yeah.
to a certain person, because let's say we had a guy sitting here and they're going to talk about their male podcaster, I probably would have no idea who it is. But comparing that to like a household celebrity name.
I sent my brother an Alex Earl post the other day. He said, "Who is this?"
Really?
He didn't know who that was.
If you said
See?
Call Her Daddy, did he recognize that? Oh wait, oh my
Alex
god.
Earl. Not Alex
Girl.
Cooper. But still,
Oh,
he
yeah,
wouldn't.
yeah.
He wouldn't. And we would think that's just like common knowledge, but it's just because we're living it.
Yeah.
True.
But
Yeah.
I agree. I had noted that advertising investing in 2017 became focused on social media platforms that year. So that kind of was the telltale sign that we weren't investing in other things.
Yeah.
Like the money was in influencing. So if there's money there, people are going to go there and do that. And that's kind of when everyone started to become an influencer. And also, all the apps started to copy each other in this year, which I think was really bad. And I think it showed that they were all money hungry. So my example is Snapchat stories had existed. So Instagram launched IG stories in 2016, just as Twitter copied Vine's video formula the same year.
Yeah. I do remember that era of social media where everyone was just stealing everyone else's features to get the users onto their app. And I remember, first of all, I remember hating Instagram stories when it first came out.
Everyone hated it.
It was like people were what is it? Repulsed?
Yeah.
Repulsed by the thought of Instagram stealing this story feature from Snapchat.
It just felt so out of place.
It did.
Yes. It felt so out of pocket. And it was like, wow, if you can just steal that and that's like that app's whole MO, what else are you going to do?
And didn't Twitter make stories as well?
They did.
Do
And
people
Twitter
still
did
use that?
video too. I don't know. I'm not on Twitter
Same.
anymore. I used to love Twitter.
I
Twitter
used
was
to
good for a
love
while.
Twitter.
How about, well, this is still current, Instagram having the music feature?
I love it.
I know people were saying, I can't remember if it was MySpace or Facebook, that you used to be
MySpace.
able to...
MySpace, your like homepage used to be able to have a song, and
So
I think
that's
you should also
interesting,
share
like-
music.
Do you think they were trying to bring back that nostalgia
I
by
think
doing
so,
that?
absolutely, because nostalgia is like one of the biggest trends of the last decade. So I think brands are kind of really tapping into that,
Yeah.
and I think they're hearing that we're not happy with the way social media is going. Hence, all the new updates every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
With, like, for example, Instagram.
I will say, I was one of those people that always wished Instagram could have let you put a song on top of the pictures. Because, like songs inspire photo shoots, inspire this, inspire that. If I'm posting pictures, it would just fit better with the song. Why couldn't I have done that 10 years ago? Why did I have to wait till, last year?
Can I tell
Kind of
you,
nuts.
that's my least favorite update. I hate
love
it. You know why? Because you open the app and you're getting screamed at by a
True.
song. That is one thing I see every single time. I'm like, I wish this did not exist. Or I wish that I could take it away from my phone so that I couldn't hear other people's music. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind a music on a story. I don't mind when people post a video itself with
True.
music. But when there's pictures with music, muted.
I mean, and that's fine too. They also did that so that way those posts can be boosted onto the Reels page.
See,
Yeah.
this whole thing of boosting and algorithms is killing social media.
Yes.
You're only posting for your, like, not, I'm sure there's exceptions, and I'm sure there's people that post just to post, but there's tons of people that are posting with the intention to appeal to the algorithm and be boosted.
Yeah.
And then if you're not doing that, you're just trying to post for some of your followers, your content is being hidden. People aren't even seeing it. So a lot of people in the Decadology Reddit said that social media died when Instagram feed it was no longer chronological.
Yes.
Yes.
And I couldn't remember what year that was.
Me either.
I wrote that down too. Tailored news / algorithms.
That had to be when I was in high school. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
I want to say probably 2013, 2014. The latest.
Wow. I do remember, like, I vividly remember scrolling and be like, you've reached the end.
Yes.
And then you would close the app, go to sleep, whatever. And we've talked a lot about how social media used to turn off at nighttime, and now it's constant, and that's a part of the problem. But it is part of the decline, too.
This is a little bit of a shift, but I saw some people mentioning they didn't like how politicians were able to advertise on social media versus placing a letter on your
Yeah.
doorknob or something like that.
It's a lot of things in the Reddit are about the 2016 election.
It's crazy.
Like, so much. And I see both sides of it because, sure, what used to be television editing, now our TVs are our phones. So, sure, they're gonna, but it becomes weird with the financing and how much money you can put behind a campaign equals how many people are gonna have eyes on your message.
Yes.
And that's where it gets weird for me.
Speaking of like the politicalness of social media, I think another downfall was when politics just entered the chat rampantly.
Yeah.
And I say that because, like, I remember the time when I didn't know whether my friends were Democrat or Republican, and I didn't care.
It didn't come up.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess also at 15, you're not talking about that stuff.
We're
You're not voting.
Yeah, like, there's other things to do. But I will say, like, whenever pop culture moments happened or anything controversial or anything political happened, and we, the average person, were expecting each other to be posting about it as well, I thought that was weird and a downfall.
Yeah.
We're not the news. Leave that to the news. Leave that to whatever politician you want to get your information from. Why are you expecting that of me? Why do you want that information from me? That is not my background or my expertise.
Well, I was just going to say, it's nice that you can get news on your phone, but then, yeah, to a certain extent, it just becomes so...
But I want to
Much.
go to the internet for the news.
Yeah.
I don't want to be bombarded with it on my social media.
I'm just thinking of access in general, but then I guess with censorship, you don't really know what's being shown to you.
Yeah.
True.
But this reminded me of when we were in middle school and, like, me hearing the news, it would come from my teacher. If they happened to put the television on for a
Yeah.
brief moment, let's say the presidential election, my history teacher would put the TV on. But other than that, I wasn't
We weren't getting it.
hearing anything.
Yeah.
But what were you going to say?
I was going to say what we touched upon in our parasocial relationships episode about influencers in specific having to speak about politics. We think we're so close to this person and they owe us their opinions. And we also think that this person is an angel based on what they show on Instagram, but they could have completely different morals than you. But here you've been worshiping them and like watching everything they do and being like, I want to be just like this person. And that was also a fall. Like, obviously, I think it's more talked about now how social media is a highlight reel, but for a while it was like, oh, these people live perfect lives.
Yes.
And like, remember the whole Acacia Brindley drama? It was like world shattering when
Which happened with her?
I was going to say, which chapter?
her being a bad mom and like,
Oh, that was a rough one.
yeah, she was racist. She was called out for that. Totally valid argument there. But she was like neglecting her child. And it was like people named kids after her. People are obsessed with her on Tumblr, followed her life onto YouTube, Instagram, every platform. And it's like, yeah, you're worshiping someone that you don't even know.
Yeah.
They could be doing all the wrong things. The people are always getting canceled now. And it's like, it's just social media. It's not real.
Yeah. Like, stop putting these people on a pedestal. And I will say, like, the overwhelming majority of social media users are not on it trying to become famous.
Yeah, it's just a connecting platform to share memories.
Yeah. Wow.
Memories, moments, concerts, anything you thought was cool. Just life and finding your people.
Which I love thinking, like, I always go back on my sister's Facebook page and look at her post from, like, 2009, where she would just be an album of her and her friends from a night out. I'm like, we didn't get that on Instagram. You weren't posting 70 photos from a night out, because I feel like immediately we were also already worried about what our page looked like on Instagram.
Exactly.
Even in the beginning of it, when it was still just for fun.
I will say, I think it's gotten a little bit better, because I think in middle school, I was more worried about what I was posting. Or not even middle school, high school. Like editing a picture, making sure it looked perfect, which is kind of insane. I mean, I know celebrities probably are still doing that.
I think social media took less of a focus on being perfection and started shifting back to being realness. But that only happened with the introduction of TikTok in 2019, 2020.
I was going to say, TikTok bought Musical.ly in 2017, so that's when it started.
Okay.
But I feel like the app specifically blew up then, and that's when we started to see, and that's when everyone was home too with COVID.
Yeah.
So we were just seeing real normal people doing real normal things again.
Definitely. Because I graduated high school in 2019, and I remember that summer, like, TikTok went from you were embarrassed to have it in high school, and then that summer was like everyone that was cool had a TikTok and was posting on it, active, doing all the dances.
Yeah. Another thought that hasn't come up yet. Did social media die when teenagers took over the third space? If you don't know what the idea of the third space is, it's the place that you go when you're not home and you're not at work. And I say teenagers specifically because teenagers, I think, are more likely to be chronically online versus a 50-year-old, for example. And so if there's more teenagers on the internet, I don't want to say at any given time, but for the sake of this, at any given time, is that the downfall of social media?
Are you saying, though, that internet is the third space? Because I feel like when we're on the internet, we're at home.
I think social media apps could be considered third spaces. If you're going there looking for connection specifically versus sharing your life,
Ooh, I want to define
I would argue that as a third space.
Because I think there's a whole conversation currently that there's a lack of third spaces for adolescents. And
Physical.
Yeah, but a third space should be physical, I think.
I'm not saying it shouldn't, but I think the third space went from being a physical place to social media apps.
And that's a problem.
And that's why everyone's fucking lonely and depressed.
Yeah.
Okay, that's definitely not why everyone is lonely and depressed. Do not quote me on that.
No, but it's definitely a factor.
I think it's a factor.
Yeah. So
now you have kids at home that aren't going out and being social or going to Starbucks and just getting a frappuccino with their friends and being silly.
But even
you don't have mall rats. You just have kids that are online all the time.
Starbucks can't even be considered a third space because you have to pay for it.
True.
Like, a third space is a free, right? Isn't that a place that you can be?
It says examples of third places include churches, cafes, bars, clubs, libraries, gyms, bookstores, stoops, parks, and theaters, among others.
I was going to say, it doesn't have to be free. Because Starbucks was a big third space.
Because that's a whole issue with non-walkable cities. Haley, you said something about Finland.
Yeah. Finland, if you guys want to know a fun fact, has more saunas than cars.
Love that.
Like, when you live somewhere that you can't get around without a car?
Yeah.
Come on, this is going into something completely different.
In Janina's defense, there is a socio-cultural third space that allows participants to transcend limitations of spatial, geographic, and cultural differences.
Jeez.
I'd argue that social media could fit that definition. Yeah. So, did it start to die when social media was just filled with more teenagers than any other demographic? Let's rephrase it that way and remove third space from the equation. Although I will say, in my opinion, online is the average teenager's third space nowadays.
That's so dangerous, and I hate that.
Yeah.
We should make that a separate episode.
Yeah.
Let's table that for another time.
Yeah. Did you have a note about third spaces? I feel like you mentioned that.
Not really with third spaces, but I just mentioned the difference of people socializing in real time, I guess, with strangers. Because, Janina, let's say when you take the bus to work, everyone's on their phone, right?
Yeah.
Sitting on the bus. You're in a store waiting in line. nobody's just standing around waiting. Everyone's
hate
looking
that.
at their phone. Or like you're walking in a park or a city and people have earbuds in, either listening to music, which I do that too, or on the phone with somebody. Like, why can't we just exist?
I feel like it might be geographical though, because we're from the Northeast. If you're listening, you're not unaware. But for example, when I went to Texas, Southern hospitality is crazy. Everyone was so kind. No one was really on their phone. And I just saw a TikTok today of someone from New Jersey who's in Colorado. And they're like, these people have to take notes. Like, everyone in Colorado has been so kind, so friendly. Like, I didn't know people were like this anymore.
So you think it's just because we're in like a metropolitan?
I feel like New York, New Jersey is the toughest place to be.
Oh boy.
I also agree with that because New York and where we live is very hustle and bustle. If you're not making money, what are you doing? And part of that is being on your phone all the time. So like half those people that you're overhearing on the phone, they could be making a business deal right there.
Oh gosh.
So whereas like what you just said in Colorado, it's a different pace of life. Like when I was there last year, people were just jogging. Didn't even have headphones on while they were jogging. Just out jogging, enjoying the weather.
Yeah.
And who they were jogging with, having a conversation. I don't even think they had like smart technology to track. They just went on a run.
Yeah.
Or maybe that has to do with safety and crime
Yeah,
too.
maybe. But there's
Less-
definitely a valid point in what you said, because if I'm in a social situation and I'm anxious, I'm going to scroll. Even like waiting for my Pilates class to start, I'm scrolling instead of looking around the room and making smiles at the people next to me.
Yeah.
Like, that's definitely a bad thing that has become a habit, and it probably is the reason we're not connecting with strangers, because we're just looking at our phone.
I would argue, though, that this is probably more of a generational problem. Because we're the generation that went through COVID during the most impactful years of our lives. Like, I feel like I lost some friends just living through that pandemic because we couldn't see each other for, 2-3 years?
Yeah.
So that was awkward. Whereas...
That's awkward.
Whereas, I don't know, our parents at that age were out clubbing all night, doing nothing but talking to people.
True.
So, I think being that our generation went through that, I think we just have a bit of social awkwardness, and we would prefer to be alone because we were forced to, in a sense, and we don't know how to just have small talk anymore.
Yeah.
I also just saw a clip of the MTV spring break concerts they used to have in 2008, and the whole dialogue in the comment section was saying how smartphones ruined this because the things that you would do there were just for the stories or whatever, but now everything's going to end up being posted somewhere. And people are scared of that, really.
That's so true. My sister used to say, I'm so glad I didn't grow up with cell phones, because the same thing, anything, if you went to a party, you're worried that you're gonna get posted and your college is gonna see
everything.
it.
Yeah. Everything's traceable.
That's wild.
That's scary.
Gina, you mentioning the generation, I have a question here. The question is this actually a downhill of social media, or is it the same generational debate, as in our elders always shit on the generation below, and that's just us kind of doing that? Question.
If we're shitting on Gen Alpha?
No, do we actually think that social media is having a downfall, or it's just mostly us having an issue with new technology?
I think it's just a growing pain. And I say this because it feels like forever, but we are past the clickbait era of the internet. We've moved past the challenges era. It just comes and goes, and there's always going to be some sort of internet wave, I think. But I think social media will always be around. And as these apps listen to us, the user, more and what we want, I think it'll only get better. It's just, think about how many mistakes you make between 0 and 10 versus 10 to 20 versus 10 to 30. You just get better as you do more.
That's so motivational.
Right?
Yeah.
Social media is only a 10-year-old kid right now.
Yeah.
Or, Facebook is the older cousin that's 20.
Okay.
She still doesn't really know what the hell's going on in the world and is just trying to, survive with her little emotional support water bottle. Let's cut them some slack, too.
That's true.
But
Not
at the
me
same
personifying them.
but then,
Another parasocial relationship.
there's 40 and 50-year-old people running or owning these accounts. Like, they have enough experience in life to, like, why are people, I don't know. You know
But
what I'm saying?
With, like,
why
the internet. Like, they kind of have just as much internet experience as us.
Yeah, I guess so. I see what you're saying. It's just...
Like, we're all in it together with the internet.
Yeah.
Except, like, Gen Alpha. Like, they only had the internet.
Yeah, that's true. I do think it's nice that we knew a time, even though it was small, without the internet.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, like, Gen Alpha doesn't know a time without AI.
That's wild.
Which is its own thing in and of itself, but we even you sent me some really good video about how we villainize AI, but it's like, it's gonna be there either way.
Yeah.
I did send a good video.
It was a good video.
And even I went off about it, too.
Yeah.
Like, we did that offline.
Yeah. But, like, whenever there's new technology, you're right, we always try to think, oh, this is gonna ruin the world.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's gonna be there whether you learn to use it or not. And my dad always says, everything is a tool, and you're either gonna get on, like, stay up to date with the wave, or you're gonna fall behind because everyone else is gonna keep using it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you might as well learn how to use it.
Yep.
That's why I find it funny when professors try to fight the use of AI.
It's so I don't think educators should be fighting AI.
Yeah.
I think it's silly, a waste of time.
It will change academics, though.
Absolutely.
Because, like, truly anymore, after the AI, like, makes it into the world, and I don't know how it's going to change the world, but it will.
It's already.
What becomes the point of taking tests? If, like, we already had the internet and could Google anything, but, for example, I had to take, like, Calculus 2. Why do I have to learn how to do an integral if I can just tell or ask ChatGPT to do it?
Students still need to understand how to problem solve,
Yeah.
and I think that AI is, like, becoming that shortcut, so...
But the way that they're being quizzed is not the same way that we know what being quizzed is to be like. It's going to be a way that's still, it's up to the teacher really to change the way the education is being fulfilled, and using AI to help the student find a way to learn this to perform in that new method of testing.
There we go. Okay. So that'll be
I don't think
interesting.
AI is ruining schools in any way.
No,
Or, like, learning as a whole. I think it's still going to be helpful.
I don't think it's it'll hurt learning. I say that because, like, I had to learn integrals and I have yet to use them in my professional life. So
Yeah.
why did I have to do that if it can program that for me?
You still need to, like, know what it is, though. The thing is, you need to know how to give the right input for AI to do what you need it to do. If you're not learning the methodology and, like, the history of whatever lesson you are, you're going to be an idiot to AI and you're going to get the wrong things. You have to be smart to know what you're asking for.
Because you wouldn't want any random person being able to do chemistry or work in your field.
And also, AI is wrong half the time.
Just based on what you tell it.
True. And to that point, you don't want your doctor being like, oh, chat, how much of this IV should I give this person?
You know they're telling us to, like, use AI?
I don't think that's a bad thing to use AI.
It's just crazy.
It's just you need to have that background to know what
to double check
do
and to
with
know
it.
when it's wrong.
Yeah.
True. Okay, I have one more question. I have a few questions, but this one next. Thoughts on actors being encouraged / hired based off their social media? Okay.
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean?
What's the girl? I'm forgetting her name. She's in Lady Bird.
Saoirse?
No, not Saoirse. Is that her?
The lead? Lady Bird is
sorry.
Saoirse.
Maya Hawke.
Oh, I love her.
I just saw an interview Maya Hawke did, and she was saying how she was trying to back off Instagram or social media in general, and her agent said, hey, they're hiring for this role based on your collective followers, so if you delete your Instagram and they're looking at a list of actors that audition for this role and they see that you have less, you're less likely to get the role because they want people with a bigger presence.
That, I think, is stupid. But the reason I said that I supported it was for a nobody that just has an artsy-fartsy account and he's scouted by an agency by having his platform. I think it's good that way.
I don't love that was the example.
Yeah.
I, like, love Maya Hawke. She's awesome, but and I don't mean this in a negative way, but she is a Nepo baby. Her dad is literally Ethan Hawke, and I
literally
forget.
everyone is a Nepo baby.
So like if you had posed that and it was like they pulled, like, some random struggling actor from New York who's been posting their acting videos and they finally get casted as a lead in a Broadway show.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
But if she's a Nepo baby and she wants to delete her Instagram, it's just crazy that they could base not even completely full, like, from your talent.
Just based off your
Yeah.
profile and your following.
Yeah.
What your point reminded me of is the movie The Holdovers. The lead, Dominic Sessa, he was in, I believe, theater at the school that they were shooting the movie at, and he got scouted there to be the lead of the movie.
Wow.
He wasn't an actor, he wasn't practicing, he wasn't doing anything, and by just being there, he was scouted. So I feel like, I guess that's not directly related to what you were saying, but I think it's a positive thing for the ability for a nobody to get chosen.
Yeah, that's true.
If we didn't have the possibility of a nobody to become chosen and famous, we would not have Justin Bieber or Shawn Mendes.
That's
I leave
true.
you with that.
It's true. So I guess that kind of argues that social media is bad, because even if I'm scrolling on TikTok and I find someone that sings great, but then I go and they have 1,000 followers, it's like, okay, scroll. Like, I do that in my brain.
Yeah, so true.
Nah, I follow. I'm here for the journey.
I'm not.
I'm here for the journey. Especially if they're that good.
I know. But it is like a thing. If I'm scrolling and I find an account that doesn't have a lot of followers, I'm like immediately in my brain like, oh, they didn't blow up yet, so why are they here?
But be there for the blow up.
No, like, I know that's how, I'm just saying, like, the way we're trained in social media, it's like if someone doesn't have a lot of followers.
Yeah, you're not used to seeing people in the come up. You're used to seeing people that either made it or someone like you.
Mm-hmm. What's your take on the Instagram followers thing?
Okay, so let's say you and Florence Pugh audition for the same role. And then she gets the role because she's in so many popular movies right now. But you had the same capabilities. You even perform better during the audition.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in that sense, I don't agree with it because she's obviously getting the role because of her stardom.
But I feel like that would be, even if social media didn't exist, I feel like that would still be the case.
Yeah, that's always been a case in Hollywood. Which, I don't know. Some director has to take the chance out there for you to become the next big star.
Yeah.
Like, someone had to take a chance on Brad Pitt one day.
Mm-hmm.
God, I've been watching all the SNL interviews. Like,
Really?
all the lead stars, they're showing all their interviews from, like, before they were even given a chance. And it's so crazy. Like, they were just nobodies.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're huge.
Think about how many comedians are out there online. We literally made Matt Rife famous. I know you don't like him.
Gosh.
Yeah.
We literally made him famous because of his, like, way to just do comedy online.
No, but
like,
didn't we talk about this before? I was listening, this might have been an old Theo Vaughn podcast, and he was literally talking about Matt Rife because he said before social media, comedians were just comedians, but social media has allowed them to model Matt Rife, be in movies, be in television shows, like it kind of opened the doors for them. So that's kind of nice for them.
Yeah.
Podcasts, all that fucking podcast.
It's true. I love a comedian's podcast. I listen to them all.
They're funny. They are funny.
No, there's so many good things that have come out of social media.
Yeah.
Oh, 1000%. That's why I started this by saying I don't think it's dead. It's just growing pains.
I hope that's the case.
I hope so.
But that's why I phrased it like, think about how many mistakes you made between 0 and 10, but also how many amazing things you did. You talked for the first time. You walked for the first time. You also fell down and maybe you broke an arm or something. But guess what? It healed. And now you're 10 to 20 and you're figuring out who you are. You're making your friends.
Yeah.
Discovering your interests. And then what? Between 20 and 30, you're making your way in the world, figuring out what you actually want to do for life. Like, Facebook's just your 20-year-old cousin who has no idea what's going on at Thanksgiving dinner.
Okay, I have one more question. I want both of you to answer this. What is the best thing that you've gotten from social media and the worst thing?
Aw. Okay, worst that comes to mind, easy hands down, bullying.
Okay.
Literally experienced that firsthand. Touched on that earlier. It's it's not universal, but I will say probably more people have been bullied than not. So if you have been bullied, I feel you. I get it. It does get better. You don't see these people anymore after a certain amount of time. And you just rest your head knowing that you're a better person because you never made anyone else feel like shit in the way that they made you feel like shit.
Scroll.
And best thing, just the sheer inspiration and ideas and knowledge and pure creativity that exists out there through social media. Like, especially participating in it more actively the past year, specifically with video editing. There's so much that goes into it between the camera angles, the editing, the sounds, the audio, the this, the that it is definitely an art form. And anyone that thinks it isn't, first of all, if you think it's so easy, literally do it yourself, because there's so much time that goes into everything that you see online. And I just really want to say that I think some of the creativity that we've gotten online is the best thing that probably could have happened to humanity.
Love. I think the worst thing to come from social media for me, or I guess for our age whole demographic, is like the body checking and the need to feel like you have to be picture perfect. But I think that's gone away, so it's kind of not really the worst thing. But the best thing is just having all my memories stored somewhere that I could always just go back to.
Oh, that's nice.
And the ability to check in with friends that maybe moved away or you don't see all the time. You still can see what they're up to.
Yeah.
I do like that.
Yeah. You, Julia?
Okay. I would say the worst thing, it hasn't affected me, but the idea of having like a digital footprint
Yeah.
or potential strangers, like that kind of scares me. And also the comparison type of thing would be the worst. But then the best, I think social media has shared so many new music that I would have
True.
never seen or heard of. And just creative accounts. That's my favorite part of it.
That's true. I also love finding new places to travel to through social media.
True.
Places towns I would have never heard of.
Yeah.
You discover.
I've learned so much. I've learned how to answer interview questions, like how to tweak them or say
Yeah.
this, don't say that, ask these questions. Tons of bridal and honeymoon advice. I'm in my bridal engagement era, if you didn't know, if you're new. So I'm loving seeing all of that inspiration. Like, there's just so much good. Like, we'll talk shit about it all we want, but social media is here to stay. We love her.
Yeah. So that's all we have this week for our episode. We hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any thoughts, drop them down below. Our anonymous submission form is always open, and we want to hear from you.
If you want us to talk more about ChatGPT/AI and our thoughts on that, let us know. If you want an updated parasocial relationships episode, let us know. Because I'm so down to revisit all my one-sided relationships that I have right now. But anyways, before you go, follow us on Instagram @theneighbors.pod, TikTok @theneighborspod, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Neighbors Pod.
See you next week, neighbors.
Bye, neighbor.
Bye!